Hey everybody, Yankee here again. Earlier I did a video about whether I think texturing is important on grips for your carry gun or not, and whether it really makes much of a difference. And in that video I said there was another point I was going to make today, but I would make it in a separate video. Well, this here is that video. I wanted to make a point about safety Nazis and handgun safety. I think most of us can agree that we don't like the safety Nazis. You know, the guys that come in and say, "Oh, I can't believe you just did a video about a gun and you didn't safety check it first. You know, you didn't show us that it's unloaded." Well, us showing you that stuff, it doesn't matter. As long as during the video, the gun itself is actually safe, you shouldn't worry about stuff that happens off camera. I mean, there's so many videos on the internet now about guns, and if we waste our time doing safety checks on all of them, it would be ridiculous. But here's the thing, are safety Nazis really in the wrong all the time? No, they're not. In fact, most of the time, I think they have the best of intentions. I think they're actually trying to do good. Because if you paid attention during that video that I did, it is loaded. The gun is loaded and it is dangerous. Now, I could be making the point that, you know, even though this gun is loaded, it's a revolver. It's very safe. Even changing the grips or doing something like that, if it's loaded, as long as you keep your finger away from that trigger, ain't nothing bad going to happen. But you know what? Even if I could make that point, and I could, it would still be a risk I didn't need to take. So with even this gun, it would be risky to change those grips or do something like that while leaving it loaded, which is why it's not actually loaded. You know, before I did the video, I unloaded this gun. Well, actually, I changed the rounds in the gun. This gun is actually loaded with dummy rounds. These are not live rounds. These are rounds someone made for me a long time ago, so I would have red and green rounds for a Christmas video that I was doing about guns. These rounds have no primers. They have no powder. They are not dangerous at all. It's as if this gun is unloaded. Now, why would I do that, you might ask? Well, it's just to bring up this point. Because even though I'm someone who believes that revolvers are very safe, and I could make the argument that with proper care, and if you train enough, you can do things like change grips, etc. on this gun, and you're not really taking much of a risk if you leave it loaded while you're doing so. But here's the thing. It's still more risk than you have to take, and you should never take unnecessary risk. This is the argument I make against people who carry appendix all the time. I'm saying, yes, you can mitigate the risk with training and the proper gun, etc. But why? There's not enough of an advantage to make it worth taking that extra risk. Like I would be taking an extra risk if I changed these grips while it was loaded. Would be very safe. The chance of anything going wrong would be very slim, but it's still there, and it's a chance I don't have to be there at all. It's a risk that doesn't have to be there at all if I just unloaded the gun first, or in this case, if I actually changed it out to dummy rounds. And now you might be saying that's kind of mean to rile up the safety Nazis by being deceptive. Well, it was really to make a point here. And one of the points is that the safety Nazis are really often in the right. When they point out you're taking risks you shouldn't take, even if something didn't happen, that doesn't mean you should get in the habit of taking that risk, because you should never allow risk to enter the situation if it doesn't have to. There's always a certain amount of risk, and you don't ever want to increase that beyond the level that it has to be. So safety Nazis are usually right. You shouldn't be doing the things you're doing that are unsafe. Now, not showing your safety check on camera, that's different. But if you're like handling a gun improperly or doing stupid stuff with it, they're right to call you out, because no one wants to see anyone have an accident with a handgun. Well, no one on our side, at least. Now, the anti-gunners, they want to see that so they can point at you and laugh. So don't give them that. Don't let that be something that they can actually use against us. Practice safe gun handling. And don't make the argument that, well, it's safe enough. Like I said, when you point your gun at your genitals and your femoral artery, you can say, well, with the proper training and the right gun, I can mitigate the risk. Yes, you can reduce the risk, but you can't eliminate it entirely. Evaluate the way you're carrying your gun, evaluate the way you handle your gun, and if there's any time you're taking risks you don't have to take, don't take it. Carrying a gun itself is slightly risky. You take that risk. You accept that risk because having a gun when you need it is worth it. But things like carrying in a specific way or things like that, they don't give you enough of an advantage or give you enough of a positive to overcome that negative that you're getting by taking that extra risk. And that's the point I wanted to make today. So, like I said, pay attention to the way you handle your guns on camera and off. And if you're taking risks you don't need to take, don't get standoffish. Don't get, offended by someone pointing that out. Actually, think about it and say, you're right, that's a risk I don't have to take.